The sun beat down on the university quadrangle, heating the black robes of the graduating class. I sat between my parents, my hands clenched in my lap. On the stage, my brother Evan accepted his MBA diploma, his smile as bright and polished as his future. My father, Richard, leaned toward me, his voice a low murmur meant only for my ears. "Look at him, Nora. Now that's what success looks like." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. "Not your little teaching job. That's just a hobby." The words cut deeper than any blade. I focused on the stage, blinking back the heat in my eyes. Just as the ceremony seemed to be ending, the dean stepped back to the podium. "Before we conclude, there's one more honorary mention we need to make," he said. The crowd quieted. He cleared his throat. "For groundbreaking research that will redefine educational leadership in our state." My blood ran cold. He said my full name. Nora Elizabeth Lawson. A wave of whispers washed over the audience. 50 heads turned in my direction. I felt frozen to my hard plastic seat. My mother, Grace, stiffened beside me. The dean gestured toward the crowd. "Nora, would you please stand? Your co-authored paper on resource equity has been adopted by the state board. This is a tremendous honor." A polite, confused applause rippled through the crowd. I forced myself to stand on shaky legs, offering a small, awkward wave. I dared a glance at my father. His face, once beaming with pride for Evan, had hardened into a mask of stone. His jaw was tight, his eyes narrowed. As I quickly sat back down, his voice was a low, dismissive grumble. "Probably some fluke. A participation trophy for the also-ran." After the final hats were tossed, we gathered on the lawn for photos. The summer air was thick with celebration and humidity. My father slung an arm around Evan, pulling him close for picture after picture. "My son, the master of business," he boomed, his voice full of warmth again. When my mother suggested a picture with me, Richard waved a hand. "In a minute, Grace. Let's focus on the graduate of the day." He then turned to me, his voice dropping. "That was a nice little mention, Nora, but it's all academic nonsense. It doesn't put food on the table." My mother looked at the ground, refusing to meet my pleading eyes. Evan, clutching his diploma, gave me a smug, sidelong glance. "Yeah, Nora," he whispered as he passed. "Don't try to ruin my day, sis." The car ride home was a slow-cooking torture. The air conditioning hummed, but it did nothing to cut the stifling silence. I sat in the back, staring out the window at the passing city. "Evan," my father began, his eyes on the road, "has a six-figure starting salary. Stock options. A corner office." He adjusted the rearview mirror, catching my eye. "You, on the other hand, still in that tiny apartment. No husband, no children. Chasing a dream that doesn't pay the bills." I opened my mouth to defend my work, my life, my choices. But the words wouldn't come. They never did. He sighed, a sound of profound disappointment. "I just don't get it. You'll never catch up to your brother. You need to be realistic." Later, I stood alone in my quiet apartment. The silence was a comfort, a stark contrast to the day's tension. My home was humble, filled with books and plants, a testament to a life built on purpose, not profit. For years, I had poured my heart into underfunded schools, developing systems to help every child succeed. It was my life's work. The memory of my father's words echoed, a dull ache in my chest. Just as I was about to give in to the tears, my laptop chimed. A new email. The sender made my breath hitch, Dean Whitaker. The subject line was simple, "Your proposal." With trembling hands, I opened it. The message was brief. "Nora, we need to talk about your educational reform proposal. Urgently. Can you meet tomorrow?" Dean Whitaker's office was all dark wood and leather, smelling of old books and ambition. He gestured for me to sit. "Nora, the board was impressed by your recognition at the ceremony. It reminded them of your research," he began, steepling his fingers. We've decided to fund your program. A $2 million pilot initiative. We want you to be the project director. The world seemed to tilt. $2 million. It was everything I had worked for. My dream, suddenly real. I could barely form a sentence. This is incredible, I stammered. He smiled, but it was a cautious, professional smile. There's a condition. This needs public and political support to succeed. You'll need champions. He leaned forward. Maybe even a family endorsement. The Lawson name carries weight in this town. Buoyed by the news, I visited my parents' house, a flutter of hope in my chest. Maybe this would be the thing that finally made him see me. I found my father in his study, reading the business section. Dad, I have amazing news. The university is funding my project. It's a huge initiative, and I'm leading it. He didn't look up from his paper. That's nice, dear. He turned a page. Did you hear? Evan just landed a senior strategist role at Kentworth and Partners. In New York. Top of the ladder. My hope deflated. This is a $2 million program, Dad. It will help thousands of kids. He finally met my gaze, his expression bored. That's charity work, Nora. It's not a real career. When you do something that actually matters, then we'll talk. A week later, a sense of dread settled in my stomach. I hadn't heard anything from Evan, which was unusual after such big news. Curious, I did a deep search online for his new company. My blood ran cold. There, in a press release from Kentworth and Partners, was a headline, New Community Engagement Initiative Launches. The description was painfully familiar. It used the exact phrasing from my proposal document. The one I'd left on my parents' computer while fixing a printer issue. He hadn't just dismissed my idea, he had stolen it. He repackaged my life's work as his own corporate PR stunt. I felt a physical pain, a betrayal so deep it stole my breath. The initial hurt was a fire, but it quickly cooled into a hard, determined resolve. I would not let him get away with this. I would not explode. I would be smarter. I spent days gathering every piece of evidence, time-stamped documents, early drafts, emails with my professors. I met with a lawyer who specialized in intellectual property. She advised caution and a strong, quiet case. Meanwhile, I worked with Dean Whitaker to move my project forward under the university's official banner, securing our legal footing. My trusted professor, Dr. Abrams, watched me carefully. He has the spotlight now, Nora, he warned gently. But you have the foundation. Play the long game. It's the only one you can win. The business news channels buzzed with the announcement. Kentworth and Partners was lauded for its visionary and heartfelt new outreach program, masterminded by their bright new star, Evan Lawson. My father called me, his voice bursting with pride. Now that's using your brain for something important. Your brother is a true visionary. I simply listened, my hand clenched around my phone. I didn't say a word. Later, in a meeting with Dean Whitaker, I expected anger. Instead, he was calm. Let them have their spotlight, he said, a sly smile on his face. Let them build the stage. It will make our entrance all the more powerful. For the first time, I allowed myself a small, bitter smile. While Evan's company basked in the glow of empty promises, we worked in silence. My project needed a new identity, one he couldn't touch. We rebranded it as the Horizon Initiative, a name that spoke of hope and a future he couldn't see. The university provided full backing, but we kept all details out of the press. We built our foundation brick by solid brick. Then, a thick, cream-colored envelope arrived in my mailbox. It was an invitation to the annual Kentworth and Partners Charity Gala, the event where they would officially launch their initiative. A part of me wanted to throw it away. But a stronger part knew I had to go. The gala was a spectacle of crystal chandeliers and black ties. I wore a simple black dress, feeling like a ghost at a party for the living. I saw my father immediately, holding court near the champagne fountain, proudly introducing Evan to a circle of influential people. I stood alone near the back, observing. Then, the CEO of Kentworth took the stage. He thanked everyone for coming to support their new community project. And now, he said, for a wonderful surprise. We've formed a strategic partnership to ensure this program's success. The massive screen behind him flickered to life. We are proud to join forces with the university's own Horizon Initiative. The project logo appeared. And directly beneath it, my name flashed in elegant script, Project Director, Nora Lawson. A collective gasp rippled through the ballroom. The spotlight, which had been fixed on the CEO, swung wildly across the crowd before landing squarely on me. I stood perfectly still. I could see the exact moment my father's brain processed the information. His proud smile melted into confusion, then dawning horror. Evan, on stage, looked like he'd been struck. His face went pale, his jaw clenched so tight I thought it might crack. The CEO, looking genuinely pleased, gestured toward me. Her pioneering work is what inspired this entire collaboration. We're just following her lead. The applause was hesitant, then grew. My father didn't clap. He turned on his heel and stormed out of the room. I found them at home later. The air in the living room was thick enough to choke on. My father whirled on me as I entered. How could you? He spat, his face flushed with rage. You humiliated him. You humiliated us. You sabotaged your own brother's career. My mother, Grace, wrung her hands. Richard, please, calm down. But he was beyond calming. I have never been so ashamed, he snarled at me. I was trembling, but my voice was steady, a calm I didn't feel inside. For once, I said, my words clear and sharp, I didn't let him take credit for my work. For once, I stood up for myself. My father slammed his whiskey glass down on the table. You've humiliated this family. The following days were a strange silence. My father didn't call. My phone didn't buzz with angry texts. It was a quiet war of attrition. I poured all my energy into the Horizon Initiative, channeling every hurt into action. Then, an email arrived from a prominent news outlet. They wanted to do a feature on me, dubbing me the woman redefining education access. They had heard about the gala and wanted the real story. I agreed, cautiously. During the interview, the reporter mentioned they had tried to contact Evan for a comment. She gave me a knowing look. He refused to speak on the record. Said it was a private family matter. Despite the victory, doubt crept in during the quiet nights. Had I gone too far? Had I become the vindictive person my father accused me of being? The guilt was a heavy blanket, smothering my resolve. Was destroying my brother's reputation worth it? Then, a small, handwritten letter arrived at my office. It was from a teacher at a rural school district I had visited years ago. Dear Ms. Lawson, it read. Because of the Horizon Initiative, we received funding for new books and a computer lab. You have changed these children's lives. Thank you for not giving up. I held the letter to my chest, the paper thin and precious. My doubt vanished, replaced by a solid certainty. I whispered into the quiet of my office, no. I did the right thing. The collapse began subtly. A business blog questioned the data in Kentworth's initial press release. Then, an education journal published a scathing piece comparing their materials side by side with my published, years-old research. The similarities were undeniable, a clear case of plagiarism. The story gained traction, moving from the business section to the front page. My phone rang. It was Dean Whitaker. Nora, he said, his voice serious but calm. Brace yourself. This is going national. The scandal is blowing up, and you are at the center of it. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding. The long game was over. The storm hit with full force. Online, headlines blared, corporate giant steals from teacher, and plagiarism scandal rocks Kentworth. My name was everywhere, portrayed as the quiet, hard-working academic whose work was stolen for corporate gain. My integrity was my shield. In contrast, Evan was painted as the entitled, greedy brother. Kentworth and Partners, facing a PR nightmare, acted quickly. They issued a statement suspending Evan pending a full investigation, throwing him to the wolves to save themselves. That evening, my phone lit up with a call I never expected to see again. My father. I let it ring 3 times before answering. His voice was strained. Nora. We need to talk. He came to my apartment, looking older and smaller than I remembered. Nora, this has to stop, he began, not meeting my eyes. Your brother's life is in ruins. Our family name is being dragged through the mud. It wasn't an apology, it was a negotiation. If you could just make a statement. Say it was a misunderstanding. That Evan acted with good intentions. He was still trying to protect his golden child, to preserve his own idea of our family. I looked at him, this man whose approval I had craved my entire life, and I felt nothing but a quiet pity. No, Dad, I said, my voice firm. I spent years being quiet for this family. I'm done hiding. The final blow came from Kentworth and Partners themselves. Under legal pressure and public outrage, they issued a formal, public apology. Not to their shareholders, but to me. We extend our deepest apologies to Ms. Nora Lawson for the unauthorized use of her intellectual property. It was a total vindication. The next day, news broke that Evan had been officially let go. My father's social circle, built on his son's success, now whispered behind his back. The world he built had crumbled. As I processed this, my phone rang again. It was the chairman of the university board himself. His voice was warm and full of respect. Nora, we have a proposition for you. I stood before the full university board, the same people who had granted me the initial pilot. The Horizon Initiative has exceeded every expectation, the chairman said. Your handling of this difficult situation has shown incredible integrity and strength. He smiled. We are creating a new position, Director of Educational Partnerships for the entire state. You will oversee a grant portfolio of $20 million. The board voted unanimously. The job is yours if you want it. It was more than I had ever dreamed possible. Dean Whitaker, sitting beside me, gave a small, proud nod. You've earned every bit of this, Nora, he said softly. Weeks later, my mother invited me over for a quiet dinner. Just the 2 of us. The house felt different, quieter. Over dessert, she reached across the table and took my hand. Her eyes were shiny with tears. I always admired you, Nora, she whispered, her voice breaking. I saw your passion, your strength. I was so tired of the fighting. I wanted peace. I'm so sorry. It was the first time she had ever taken my side. The first time she had truly seen me. I squeezed her hand. I know, Mom, I said. I forgive you. We heard the front door open and close. My father stood in the doorway, watching us, his expression unreadable. He didn't speak during dinner. The silence was heavy, but not angry. It was the quiet of a storm that had finally passed. After my mother went to clear the plates, he looked at me, his shoulders slumped. I was wrong, he said, the words sounding foreign on his tongue. About your work. About you. I failed you. He didn't make excuses. He just stated the painful truth. I felt no triumph, only a profound sadness for all the wasted years. You taught me to value success, Dad, I replied gently. I just learned to define it differently. My phone buzzed on the table. It was the dean. My father looked at the screen, then back at me, a new, hesitant respect in his eyes. Dean Whitaker's proposal was the final piece of the puzzle. Nora, we want you to deliver the keynote address at this year's graduation ceremony, he said. I almost dropped the phone. It was the same business school. Evan's alma mater. The same stage where this all began. Your speech topic, he continued, is redefining success. We can't think of anyone better to deliver it. I didn't need to think about it. Yes, I said, a calm certainty filling me. I'll do it. I hung up and looked out the window at the city lights. I decided not to tell my family. This moment was for me. I stood at the podium, looking out at a sea of eager young faces and proud parents. In the very back, I saw them. My father, my mother, and a sullen Evan. They had come uninvited. I began my speech, sharing my story not with bitterness, but with hard-earned wisdom. I spoke of success not as a title or a salary, but as impact, integrity, and quiet perseverance. The audience was captivated. When I finished, the applause was thunderous, a standing ovation that washed over me. Then the dean stepped forward. And now, he announced, we honor our keynote speaker. For her exceptional leadership and service, we present Dr. Nora Lawson with this year's University Leadership Medal. A camera projected my face onto the big screen, and for a split second, it panned to my father. He was crying. But for the first time in my life, I didn't need my father to be proud of me. I was proud of me.